Good morning, guys. So we are here on the lockdown farm because we are currently in Spain on lockdown. And today what we're going to go through is possibly the hardest body weight exercise we can do, especially for the lower body, and that is the single leg squats or the pistol. There are really two main factors that come into this. The first one is mobility, mainly through the ankles, and the second one is strength. So we're going to look at a couple of tips to help you improve your mobility, a couple of progressions that are going to help get comfortable with the movement, and then also some strengthening exercises. So before we move on to any of the exercises, the first thing that I want to get you to do is actually a very simple test. We call it the feet together squat. Now, if you can't do the feet together squat, the chances are you're going to struggle with the pistol. So this is our first stage, and it's quite simple. We simply put our feet together, try and hold our knees together. We squat down, feet together, knees together, and squat down. So what we do by doing this is basically we focus the movement on the ankles. The wider we get, the more of the hips I can utilise. The narrower we get, the less I can utilise the hips and therefore have to use the ankles. So this is a great first test. If you can do this, it will show you've got the mobility to do the movement. If you can't do this, these next exercises are going to help you. So there are two classic stretches we're going to look at. Scrap that. We're going to show you three. So the first one we're going to do is very classic. Now, what all of these stretches really do is aim to improve what's called our ankle dorsiflexion. And that's basically the permitted range that allows my knee to go forward or my toes to come towards my shin. So I'm going to use an external object from the lockdown farm. So I've got a rock. And all I'm going to do is put myself into the position of restriction. So as you can see here, I've elevated my foot, I'm taking my knee forward, and I can use this rock just to add a little bit of external pressure, and I'm going to be working into the range of motion. Now, one thing that's important is you want to be feeling the stretch through the back, through the Achilles in this position. If you feel it in the front of the ankle, you're going to need to adjust the position in order to be able to find that stretch on the back. Second exercise. So for this, you guys are going to take your shoes off. We're going to put both our feet together, knees together, heels together, and I'm going to sit down and hold the position. Again, what I'm doing is mobilizing in the position of restriction, but what you want to do is, one, you're working your toe mobility, and two, what some people may find is it actually puts quite a bit of stretch onto the back of the ankle. So this is what we call our kneeling position, and you should be able to hold that position comfortably for 2 minutes. If you really struggle, what you do is start by building up. So just 20 seconds, linear progression until you can feel comfortable, 2 minutes. So that was exercise number 2. Now the final exercise we're going to do is slightly different, and we're actually going to be a bit more active with our ankle dorsiflexion here. The first two were fairly passive, or mobilizations in the position of restriction. However, here we're actually going to add a bit of active range into the movement. So we're just going to come over to this our neatly set up platform, and what I'm actually going to start to do is my heel is going to be in line with the corner. Sorry about my shoes. They're my lockdown farm shoes. We're going to come here, and all I'm going to do is take this up and over, up and over, up and over. If you feel comfortable with that, great. We can actually make it slightly harder. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to come down, and you can see I'm trying to mimic the squat a little bit more. I'm going to try and take this over, back down, over, and back down. So you can see this is probably a little bit too high for me, I need something lower. But what you really start to feel work is this range of motion here. And this dorsiflexion is what we need in order to have a good position for the pistol. So there we have our 3 exercises. We have basically our weighted ankle stretch, our kneeling position, and now our active dorsiflexion. What we'd recommend is for the first 2 is that you aim to accumulate roughly 2 minutes in those positions. Obviously for the weighted ankle stretch, both sides. And what we'd be looking to do here is each day accumulate around 30 slow controlled repetitions of the progression that you find the hardest. So, we're now going to look at how we progress into our pistol. This being said, if you have the mobility, if not, these exercises can also be really good unilateral strengthening exercises for both legs. The progressions that we like actually involve no equipment. All that we do is change the position of our foot. So we very simply have 3 positions. The first one is our easier position with our foot behind. The second one, slightly more challenging. And the third one, the most challenging of all. So what you should find is that most people should be fairly comfortable in this split stance to be able to go down and come back up. And you can start to see now we're already mimicking that pistol movement, but because my left leg is back, I can really have a lot more control over the movement. I don't need as much strength. What I'm then going to do, if I feel comfortable there, is take my left foot in line with my right. I'm then going to squat down and back up. You notice here I've got my heel off the floor and I'm trying to keep most of my pressure on my right leg in order that I can get that strengthening position. Finally, I'm going to take my left foot forward. This is the most challenging, and as you can see, we come very similar to the pistol movement now. We come down and back up. We come down and back up. So with these strengthening exercises, what I will get you guys to do is go for about 3 sets of 8 repetitions of the movement you find challenging, but also you're comfortable with. So for some people that may be the left leg's behind, for some people that may be left or right leg is in front. Yeah? No. So you're now going to show us the perfect pistol.
Have you seen what I'm wearing now?
I think you can do it.
But it's not that I can't do it, but you can prepare me a bit, can't
Birkenstocks are off.
Yeah.
So as you can see, this is our full pistol.
Whoa.
We come down, so we have on the left leg, on the right leg, left leg and right leg. Now what's slightly different to the squat is that you'll notice that the low back starts to round more. For a pistol that's okay, you know, it's obviously a lot more challenging mobility wise, and there's only very few people who you'll be able to find who can keep a perfectly straight back. So with that low back rounding, we're not necessarily worried overly compared to a squat. We try to minimize it as much as we can, but as I say, it's only very few people can manage to hold a straight back whilst going down into pistol. Another big factor also becomes the balance. So if Jacqueline goes down, you know, you notice here that the balance is a big factor. So these next exercises are for people who are already comfortable with pistols, but need to start developing really the true strength of the movement. The first one we're going to do is a pure eccentric pistol. So Jacqueline's going to go down, slow and controlled. She's then going to come back into feet together squat, stand back up. She's going to go down, slow and controlled, come back in and stand up. So as you can see, the main focus of the movement is on the lowering part, the eccentric portion, and then by bringing the second foot in, we can really just work on standing up. And this is great for coming back for injury, strengthening the anterior portion of the thigh, so very good for strengthening up the patellar tendon as well. The last exercise we're going to show you is an eccentric pistol, but this time the concentric movement, the standing up movement, we're going to do on the same leg as well. So we're going to try and go down for 5 seconds and then an explosive movement up. So we're 2, 3, 4, 5, explosive up. 2, 3, 4, 5, explosive up. So these eccentric movements really start to challenge the leg and challenge the strength. Flip it back round. Thank you, Jacqueline. So, in a nutshell, these are our progressions through the pistol. We start by checking that we have enough mobility and positioning to do the movement. We then start to look at the various progressions if the athlete has control and strength. And once we know that's the case, we can then start looking at more advanced movements that are, to develop the strength, that are even harder than the actual movement itself. So we hope you found this video interesting. If you have any comments or questions, post them below and we will get back to you.